6 signs that you might be experiencing the imposter syndrome, and also the antidotes.
Just before we jump in, I want to share with you a fact that I studied years ago. I started studying how to be a lie detector to tell whether people are lying or not. And this fits into the imposter syndrome thing. For anybody who's ever watched that show, Lie to Me, starring Tim Roth, which is a great series about a guy who works for the police whose job is to see whether somebody's lying. I studied that actual skill. And I found it was really difficult to be able to learn to tell if somebody's a liar. Everyone's 50%, doesn't matter how good you are, you're 50%. They've got 50-50, toss a coin, guess if they're lying or not, you're probably wrong. The only people who are excellent at doing it are criminals and policemen. Everybody else has no clue what's going on. So you may not even know that you're lying or people around you are lying about it because it's so in depth and it's so covered up by everybody. So let's look at the ways that people do see imposter syndrome, the signs, and then we'll suggest some ways of being able to fix it. So let's start with the first one. Got to ask a question. Do I experience self-doubt regularly? So that's a huge issue for many people. Part of our conditioning now, especially post-COVID, is to ask ourselves questions about our mental and emotional health and to really check to see how we're doing, to create a relationship internally before we share it with the outside world. Now, imposter syndrome, that's partly it. The solution to that is what?
Do it anyway.
Absolutely. Go out, do it anyway, and you'll get over any self-doubt you have. What other examples have you got, Ernesto?
Number 2 is going to be, are you a perfectionist or are you a procrastinator? And I think these ones always go together. Oh, I have to make it perfect. I have to make it perfect. This is a clear issue that you are facing imposter syndrome, because of course you want to make it perfect so that nobody will say that you're an imposter, that you're a fake, that you're a fluke. That could really affect people in actually having progress, and that's why you procrastinate. I mean, you can see so many different videos here in YouTube, on TED and on different TED Talks that are talking about procrastination, and every single one of them is actually going into being perfect. So the important thing is not to focus on perfection. That's the antidote. Don't focus on perfection, focus on progress. So you need to make sure that you're actually going further little by little. I mean, it's not going to be perfect at the beginning. You start doing it until you have it really nice. So focus more into progress than into perfection.
Absolutely. When it comes to goal setting, rather than thinking, oh, I've got to get this, focus on how you get there, understand the process, and that means you can reproduce it at any given time. So you might not be a perfectionist, but you're certainly a winner and a practitioner, which is what you really need. I'd say number 3 on this is a question saying, are you afraid of being exposed as a fake by people? So people are going to notice, and somebody's going to call you out, just like we said about Milli Vanilli, and say you're not everything that you think you are. Now, everybody feels that at some point, from the point of whether it's built in society, you drive into the wrong part of town and you're suddenly stared at, you go into the wrong shop, you go into the wrong meeting, all these different things. We've all experienced being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the key to it is to act as if you are fine with it, and you will become at doing it. So remember that phrase, act as if you are. Yeah. That way, you're hijacking the way your subconscious mind works. So rather than filling it with the programming that says, I'm not right here, there's negative stuff, it goes, no, we're fine. It goes, really? Yeah, okay, well, let's notice things that make that a truth. And before you know it, you do become that thing. So when you want to start a new career, start acting as if that's your existing career, and suddenly you'll start filling the gaps very, very quickly, consciously and subconsciously.
Many people or many gurus even tell you, you have to fake it till you make it. Now, what's the problem with that specific wording, that you're including the word fake it? So then you immediately are actually feeding the fact that you are a fake. The moment that you actually act as if, that just changes completely in your brain this way of thinking. So that's an important remark for you to have.
Faking until you make it worked when nobody was watching. The problem is so many of you now are saying you're there before you're there.
Think about trying to scare yourself by going boo. You know it's going to happen because you've got to say boo, oh, it's me. Same as if you give yourself programming, I'm a fake, but I'm going to be okay. In the back of your head, you're still saying I'm a fake. That's why it doesn't work.
Sign number 4, it's going to be, are you afraid of failing?
The easiest way to deal with the fear of failure is to be more fearful of not taking action, to be more fearful of settling for a life that is far below what you deserve and what you desire.
The imposter syndrome is just a bump on the road. It's not something, it's not a wall, it's just a bump on the road that you have to go across. So if you're afraid of failure, what you need to do is you have to do it until. And that's the important word. I mean, Jim Rohn always said, whenever things are not working the way you want to do them, you have to do it until they work. And that is actually the antidote for number 4.
I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give your average baby? Before you say, hey, enough's enough. No. Any mother in the world would say, you're crazy. My baby is going to keep trying what? Until. What a magic word. I want you to write it down. Until.
Number 5, do you feel that you need to be the best? Is that what's going on in your head all the time? I know people, again, who are perfectionists, needing to score points, needing to be better than everybody else. People who start getting really upset with themselves if they lose at cards, or even if they're running, or even if walking, not walking fast enough so they get to the front of the queue. If they're at the back of the queue or second in the queue, they're beating themselves up because they're constantly competitive. Now, it's hard to be the best at everything, but here's the thing. The human race is not about being the best, because at some point in the next 100 years, you and I won't be here anymore, Ernesto. Maybe before that, you never know. And nobody's going to care the fact that we'll still watch the Toilet Paper Diaries and we'll be treated like Bill and Ted. And we'll go, hey, Ernesto, Dave, we got all your records. But the thing is, what was said by Oscar Wilde is be yourself because everybody else is taken. Yeah. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just be the best version of you. And what you get as results out of your life are never going to be like anybody else's because they don't have the same experiences, the same talent, the same world, or the same views as you, or the same need to do the same stuff as you.
Stop comparing yourself to other people. You're only on this planet to be you.
Albert Einstein had also a very interesting observation. He says, well, if you judge a fish by his ability of climbing trees, he will always feel that he's an idiot, the poor fish.
Your life journey is about learning to become more of who you are and fulfilling the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. That's why you're here.
The next and the very last one here is, do you unconsciously self-sabotage?
Oh, see?
In my opinion, there's 2 types of people in this world. Those who self-sabotage and those are in denial that they self-sabotage.
Part of the way to move forward with this is to start designing your own life, your own personal brand, working out who you are, who you don't want to be, looking what other people think of you, and then deciding how much you want to change to make that happen. Once you are in charge of your own ego and presentation and brand and direction, then the only person that can change it is you and how you react to things that happen around you and drive what happens next.
Feeling like an imposter is a sign of professional or personal growth. Remember that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room? This is exactly what I'm talking about. If you reframe your perception of the imposter syndrome this way, not only it becomes more manageable, but it also becomes empowering. Because you stop being a victim of imposter syndrome, but you start owning the situation. You start purposefully exposing yourself to challenges. So first, do some reframing work with yourself. Stop being a victim and start being in control.